Hello everyone, my name is Sabrina Melodieuse. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are doing a tutorial how to crochet the Snowdrops Blanket. It is a very lovely, very textured and just a lot of fun kind of blanket. And this is called the Snowdrops because the yarn reminds me of lovely snow. And look at the texture of this stitch. It's basically the waffle stitch. But I don't know if you can see how sparkly this yarn is. It truly is very sparkly, very magical, and it kind of reminds me of the snow when it's outside and the sun is shining onto it and it glistens. It is absolutely magnificent. And the edging is super fun. Look at all these lovely pom-poms. So this is very easy to achieve and it's just really beautiful, and I think it goes really well with the waffle stitch. So this blanket that I have made measures, in its width it measures 25 inches. Let's see if I can show you. 25 inches or 64 centimeters. And the length of it measures 26 inches or 67 centimeters. It has been a lot of fun. So now let's show you what you will need material-wise. You will need, for this particular size, you will need 3 balls of DK, so that's 300 grams. I've used baby sparkles yarn. I found this in B&M in the UK. So of course I don't know where you are in the world. You might not be able to get any of this yarn. See how sparkly it is? It's beautiful. Anyhow, so each ball is 100 grams and you will need 3 of those. Although for my size blanket, this is the remainder of the 3rd ball. So I think I used just about 250 grams. But of course, depending on the size that you want to do, it could be more, it could be less, and the multiple number of stitches that you will need for this particular blanket will be said a little bit later. Okay, so what else do you need? You are going to need some stitch markers. You're going to need 4, and those will not be needed until you do the border. So you will need 4 of those if you are using stitch markers. These will be to mark the center stitch of every corner. And because we will be dealing with single crochet, sometimes it's important to not miss that center stitch. So that's why I like to use stitch markers. What else are you going to need? You're going to need some crochet hooks. So for the body of the blanket, you are going to need a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, this is when it's not going to focus when I need it to. Let's see. Focus, please. 4.5, there we are, millimeter crochet hook. And for the border, you are going to need a 4 millimeter crochet hook. It does that every time now. It's annoying. Okay, come on. And yeah, I think you saw it earlier. There we are. Thank you, camera, for messing up. Anyhow, so now that you have your materials and everything, you got your yarn, you got your crochet hooks and your stitch markers, then we are ready to begin. So what I might do is add an extra little video just to show you how this blanket is looking, because honestly it is exquisite. Okay, so I'm outside now and you can hear the birds. They're having a little sing-song. This is how the blanket looks outside into the sunshine. Well, there's no sun, but into the daylight, I should say. And as you're getting closer, I hope you can see just how sparkly it is and how it is really textured and really soft. Look at the edging, so cute. Love the edging. It's really lovely and textured. And so this is the right side, and the wrong side is looking just as pretty. This is the wrong side. And this is how it's looking. Okay, so now that we've gathered our materials, we are now ready to start on our wonderful baby blanket. So this blanket is worked on a multiple of 3 stitches, 3 chains, plus 2. So I am going to have 93 stitches in total because 93 is a multiple of 3 plus 2, which makes 95 chains. So let's get started. I will start with a slip knot and start to do my chain. So I will count in multiples of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at how shimmery this is. I love this yarn. Yes, I do. So, of course, I am not going to count all my chains in front of the camera. So I am going to pause, let you do your chain, or however many chains you want to do that. Either it will be 95 or however many you want, and I will meet you there and tell you what to do next. Yeah! Okay, we are now ready to start on our foundation row. If only I could speak properly, right? It seems that sometimes my mouth forgets how to speak. It's so annoying. Okay, so anyhow, we are ready to start on our foundation row. So we are going to go into the 4th chain from the hook. So we're going to count. I don't know if this is close enough. Let's see. Maybe this is better. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So into that chain here, we are going to do our very first double crochet. There we are. And into the next stitch, we're also going to do a double crochet. And into the next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. And we're going to do this all the way across. And at the end, you should have 93 stitches, or however many stitches that you're aiming for. Okay, so I don't know, I seem to be moving across quite a lot here. I'm sat at a very awkward angle. So anyhow, I'm going to finish this row off camera, and I'll be back to tell you what to do next. Okay, so our foundation row is done. So I'm going to see if I can move the camera a little bit. Here we are. I hope this will be a little bit easier for me, so I will not move anywhere. So here's the very first row, which was the foundation row. It is done, and we should have 93 stitches. Okay, so now we are ready to start with the body of the blanket. And it is if I have not mentioned it before, it is a 2-row repeat. So what I'm going to do now is simply go through right now with you how to do the 2 rows. So let's get started. So to start the very first row, we are going to chain 3 and turn our work around. This chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So flip your work around, and this is where we are at now. So this is the first double crochet on top of this one here. So just ignore that one now because this is our first double crochet. Okay, so what do we do now is very, very simple. Into the next stitch, we're going to do a front post double crochet. If you don't know how to do a front post double crochet, it is honestly very simple. So you're going to yarn over just like you're going to do a regular double crochet, and from right to left you're going to put your hook into, you're going to work around the post of this stitch. So from front to back you put your hook through here and through here, just like so. Then you're going to yarn over and grab your yarn, and then you're going to just complete your double crochet just like normal. Okay, now that you've done that, you're going to do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So the first stitch is right here. So 1 and a double crochet into the next stitch, which is right here. There. So let's do this one more time. We are going to do into this stitch here, see, because that one is the double crochet. Into this next stitch right here, you're going to do a front post double crochet. Oops, there we are. Front post double crochet. And into the next 2 stitches, those 2 here, you're just going to do a regular double crochet into each stitch. So 1 and 2. And let's do this one more time. Into this next stitch, you're going to do a front post double crochet like this. And into these next 2 stitches, you're going to do just a regular double crochet in each stitch. One and 2. You see how easy this is? So you're going to do that repeat all the way across until you have 2 stitches left. When you've got your 2 stitches left, I will be back and I will show you what to do next. Alright, we are now at the end of our row. This is how it looks so far. And we should have 2 stitches left. So our stitches are right here. Okay, so into the next stitch we're going to do a front post double crochet. So let's do this. There we are. And into the turning chain here, which works as a stitch, we're simply going to do a double crochet right here. I hope you can see the top of the turning chain. There. And that concludes the first of 2 row repeat. So let's begin the second row. Chain 3 and turn your work around. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've done our chain 3, which counts as a stitch right here, into the next stitch right here, you're going to, I again cannot speak properly, which is really bad. We are going to do a repeat of 3 stitches. So this next stitch here, you're just going to do a regular double crochet. There we go, on top of the stitch. And this stitch, it will have been the front post from the previous side, right here, as you can see. There we are. And into the these two double crochets that we did on the previous row, we are going to do front post double crochets. So into these two stitches here, we're going to do front post double crochet. So let's do this. 1 and 2, and that's the repeat throughout this whole row. Into this next stitch, you're going to do a double crochet, just a nice normal double crochet. And into the next two stitches right here that you see, you're going to do front post double crochet in each stitch. One and two. I'm going to do this one more time. So into this next stitch here, which was from the previous row, that was the front post double crochet, but on top of it you're just going to do a regular double crochet. There we are. And into the next two stitches, which were from the previous row, just ordinary double crochet. Well, in these two you're going to do front post double crochet in each stitch. 1 and 2. This is how our work looks. So you're going to do that all the way to the end. When you get to the end, you should have 2 stitches left. When you've got them 2 stitches left, I will tell you what to do next. So now I've come to the end of the second row. This is what it looks like. And we have got 2 stitches left. So what we're going to do is simply do a double crochet in each stitch. So let's do this. 1 and 2, and that concludes the second row of our 2-row repeat. So now I'm going to try and guide you as to the first and the second row. So when you do the first row, you are going to chain 3, turn your work around, and that acts as the first double crochet right here. So you're going to just leave that one alone. Next stitch here will be a front post double crochet. In the next 2 stitches, those, you're going to do a double crochet in each stitch, and that's the repeat until the end of the row. Next stitch will be a front post double crochet, and the next 2 stitches will be a double crochet in each stitch. Next stitch will be a front post double crochet. Next 2 stitches will be just a regular double crochet in each stitch. Like so until the end of the row, when you will have 2 double crochet left. So into this first one here, you're going to do a front post double crochet, and into this last one, just a regular double crochet. Then you will turn your work around, chain 3, which will act as the first double crochet. And just like this very second row here, you're going to do double crochet, and into the next 2 stitches it will be front post double crochet, then a double crochet, then 2 front post double crochet, and so on and so forth until you have 2 stitches left. where you will just do 2 regular double crochet. If this is a little bit confusing, just rewind and watch these 2 rows all over again. And also in the description box below, I will be sure to put the 2-row repeat in writing format. I hope this will be very helpful and that you will enjoy your blanket tutorial. So what I'm going to do now is pause. I will do a few more rows and I will be back to show you my progress. So I'll pause now and I will see you in a little while. Okay, so I have done 3 repeats in total of the 2-row repeats, which means I've done 6 rows in total. And so far this is how it looks. I really love how this is working. It is so squishy and it is completely 3D, as you can see. It's just so lovely. And I just really love the texture of this. This is so lovely, and the yarn is beautiful. Can you see how it just shines? So nice. So I'm not sure how much this measures, but it's just not very big at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on until I am satisfied with the length of the blanket, and I will get back to you and tell you exactly how many rows I have done. And then the next section will be to work on the border. So I hope that you are enjoying this so far, and see you very shortly. Okay, so I am now done with the body of the blanket, and we are now ready to start on the border. The border has 2 rounds, so it's quite quick. So this blanket in particular, I have done 33 repeats of the 2-row repeat. So in total 66 rows plus the foundation row, which is 67 rows. But of course, feel free to do more rows if you want to, or less of course. This is entirely up to you. And look how the yarn is sparkly. Look at this. This is so lovely. I really love this yarn. So nice, and it really does look like there's some snow, right? Just like the snow, it is sparkly and just shines very nicely. Yes, so now that we are ready to start on the border, I will go back to the wrong side to the last row that I did. So this is the last row that I did, and remember that we used a 4.5 millimeter hook, but for the border we are gonna go down 1 size and get a 4 millimeter hook. Okay, and remember that we are using DK. If you are using a 4-weight yarn, then I would have suggested that you use a 5.5 millimeter hook for the blanket, but for the border I would definitely suggest either a 4.5 millimeter hook or a 5 millimeter. So let's, without further ado, continue with the border, and we will start with round 1 of 2. A little note before we begin our border. Okay, now is the time. Personally, I like to use some stitch markers at this stage, but this is completely entirely up to you once again. These will mark the center stitch of every corner, and for me I find this extremely helpful to have. So 4 different stitch markers. Okay, let's carry on. So this is our last row, and I will rejoin a hook to the yarn. Okay, chain 1. I think maybe we should get a little closer there. Okay, chain 1, and we're going to turn our work around so that the right side is facing us. Okay, so just organizing myself a little bit more. Right, so the next row is very, very simple. We're going to work a lot of single crochets in every stitch. So the first stitch, we're going to do half of a corner. And how we're going to do that is, in the first stitch here, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So the first one, there we are, 1 single crochet, and immediately I'm going to put in a stitch marker. This will be the center of our first corner, and we will complete this corner when we come to the end of this round. Okay, so in the same stitch we're going to do another single crochet. There we are. I fear this is not close enough. Okay. So now into the next stitch, and every stitch across we're going to do a single crochet. Just like so. See how easy it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet across to the end of this row, and when we get to the end of it I will rejoin you and I will show you what to do for the next corner. Okay, so I am almost at the end of the row. I have got 3 stitches left. So the 2 stitches here plus the turning chain. So what we're going to do is just a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2, and now we have got the turning chain. So on top of that we're going to do 3 single crochet, and in the center stitch, which is the second one, we're going to put in a stitch marker. So let's do that together. 1, 2, and immediately before I forget I will put in the stitch marker. There we are, and 1 more stitch into that same stitch. There we are. This is the third. So now we have completed a corner. So we're going to turn the blanket to the side. I'm going to flip it so that the side is now facing us, and we're going to work in the ends of every row. And we're going to start, you see here how you've got all your chains and double crochets right there at the end of every row? Well, we're going to work in those, and we're going to do 2 single crochet in every single end of every row, and that's why we have to go down a crochet hook size. So in here we're going to put in 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then the next one we will do the same thing, 1, 2, and again into the next one we're going to do 2, 1, 2, until we get to the end of this of that side, to the end over here. When you get to the end of here, over there, this is the last row end, you're going to put your 2 single crochet, and then you're going to flip this blanket to the other side so that now you're facing where you worked all your chains. So in this very first chain here you're going to do 3 single crochet, And don't forget to mark the center stitch with a stitch marker. It is a very helpful thing to do. You do not have to do that, obviously, but I find it is a really helpful thing to do. Then you're going to do a single crochet in every single chain across that you did here. This is our foundation row with the chains here. Can you see? So at the end of every chain there, you're going to add single crochets until you get to the last chain. And there it is with I can't talk properly no more, which is terrible. This is the tail of when we first started our chain. And so you can see that this is the very first chain that you did. So in that very first chain, you're going to do 3 single crochet, and once again, remember that you have to put a stitch marker in the second stitch. Then you're going to flip this blanket once again to its side, and at the end of every row here, you're going to start again with the 2 single crochets in every ends of the rows. You're going to do that all the way across, and once you get back to the start here, to that very first stitch, you're going to add 1 more single crochet, which will complete the very first corner, and you're going to slip stitch to that stitch here. And when you've done that, I will rejoin you and tell you how to do round number 2. Just thought I would add a little note because I'm about to undo one side of the border. So here's the top side of the border, how it looks. And it looks fine, as you can see. I don't know if I can zoom out a little bit more. Yes, I can. It looks straight, as you can see. It looks nice and quite neat. And then you turn it to the side where you're going to work at the ends of every row. So I've done 2 single crochet in every single end of the row. And I am about to restart that bit because I find this personally a little bit too wavy, and you'll find that with crochet there's a lot of trial and error, and this is one of these instances where I didn't think this would happen for this particular design, but it has happened, and even going down a size hook, it is quite wavy. So what I am going to do is I'm going to alternate each ends of every row. One end I will do 1 single crochet, and the other one I will do 2. And the next one I will do 1 single crochet, and the next end I will do 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, just like so until the end for both of the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and redo that side and carry on with the border and rejoin you at the end. Okay, so I'm nearly finished, but I want to show you that I am much happier with the alternating, that's it, alternating 1 single crochet in one end and 2 in the next, then 1 and then 2, and it looks much better and it doesn't curl at all. So I'm really pleased with that, and we are now almost ready to start on round 2. So I will get back to my last stitch of the round, still on to round 1. So let's rejoin the yarn to the hook, and I will show you what I will do now. So, okay, here we are, end of the round, not row, round. Okay, so we did a partial corner in the very first one. If you remember, we did 2 single crochets. So we're going to go back into that stitch again, which is right here, and we're going to add another single crochet, just like so. Now we're going to slip stitch to the very first single crochet, which is that one, and is the center single crochet of the corner. And this will complete round 1. Just like so. Okay. And now we are ready to proceed with round 2. Okay, so now we are ready to start on round 2 of our border. So admittedly this is a little bit time consuming, but it is fun, and at the end of the round you will absolutely adore the border. It will be so worth it. So let's without further ado carry on. So we are presently in the center stitch of the corner. So what we want to do now is we want to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is right here next to that one. It will be right here. You want to slip stitch into it. Of course you can just remove the stitch marker now, we don't need it. So into this one, and into the next one, which is right next to it, right here. You want to slip stitch into that. And then, once you've done that, you want to start round 2. So chain 1, and into that very same stitch, let's see if we can just zoom in a little bit more. Here we go. Into that very same stitch you're going to add a single crochet. Maybe this is too close, sorry about that. Okay, this is better. So right into this stitch you're going to put in another single crochet. There we go, and this is our very first single crochet of the round. Once you've done that, you're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to count as a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the other chains are to work a bubble. So we are going to go into the third chain from the hook. Oh, there we are. Sorry about that, I had gone completely off camera. We want to go into the third chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, this one, and we're going to work a bubble. And how we're going to do that is very simple. We're going to yarn over, put your hook into that third chain, and you're going to do a partial double crochet. 1 second, I'm finding it difficult just the way I am sat, you know, to get my bearings. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, into this stitch you're going to yarn over and insert your hook in there. You've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2. You're going to do that another 3 times. So into here, there we are, yarn over, and then yarn over and pull through 2. You now have 3 loops on the hook. So you're going to do that again. And now you have 4 loops on the hook. So we're going to do that once more. Just like so. Now we have 5 loops on the hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on the hook. And what we're going to do is we're going to chain another 3, 1, 2, 3, and into here, you see here there's like a little hole right there. It's the top of the cluster. On top of that cluster we're going to do another cluster. So you're going to do that again with yarn over and put your hook into that hole, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and you're going to do that until you have 5 loops on the hook. So let's do that. And now that we have our 5 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to put the yarn a little bit like this. We're going to pull it up and we need to take it off the hook. And what we need to do now is close this so it becomes like a bubble, like a proper pom-pom or whatever you want to call it. Just like so. So make sure that this will go behind that one so that the right side is facing. You're closing it just like so, and as you can see it becomes like a little ball or pom-pom or whatever you want to call it. So now what you want to do is close this. So you will insert your hook into this hole here. I hope you can see this well enough. Put your hook into this hole and you will grab the other loop. It has come a little bit undone, but it is that one that you had let go before. Grab it from the back like so. Pull on the thing to close it. You need to pull on the yarn to close it, and then you're going to pull it through here just like so. You see what I did? And then you're going to chain 3. So we're going to do that one more time maybe. Let's let that go. And let's pretend that we haven't done anything just yet. Okay, so here we are. We have our 2 clusters just like that. And pull the thing. And now you're going to want to close this. So you're going to put your hook in here just like that. And grab the other end. Make sure that it is closed just like so, and grab through just like that. Close the yarn so it closes the loop, and you're going to pull it through just like so that it closes the wonderful pom-pom. Okay, and now we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to skip 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and into the next one we're going to put in a single crochet. So let's do this one more time, and then it's basically that you will do this all the way around. But for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one of those little pom-pom thing, or whatever you want to call it, and then I will let you carry on until you get to the end of this row. When you get to the end of this row, I will show you what to do. So for now let's carry on with this one. So we're going to chain 6, and remember this counts as a chain 3 plus another chain 3 to do a cluster. So let's do this. Okay, so chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in the third chain from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, this one here, we're going to work a 4 double crochet cluster. So as I showed you before, you're going to yarn over the hook and insert your hook into the third chain from the hook, which is right here. 1, 2, 3, there, and you're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and you're going to do that until you have 5 loops on the hook. Once you've got your 5 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. Now that you've done that, you're going to chain 3. And you see here where there's a hole there, this is the top of the cluster. You're going to create another 4 double crochet cluster. So let's do that. Remember, do that until you have 5 loops on the hook. Once you've got your 5 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. When you've done that, you're going to pull the yarn a little bit because you're going to let that go for now. Okay, you're going to go back to the very first cluster right here. Where there's a hole, you're going to insert your hook just like so, like that. And then you're going to close the other one down to the back. And whilst you do that, you're going to grab that hook, that loop, and you're going to close it, just like so, and slip stitch it to close this little ball. And I really hope my explanations are easy enough to follow, like so. Okay, once you've done that, chain 3, and down here you're going to skip 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and into that one you're going to do a single crochet. So far this is what we have, and it is a really super cute border to do, and it is a lot of fun. So I'm going to let you go ahead and get to the end of this row. If you find that when you get at the end of the row you don't have a number 3 or whatever stitches left over, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. In fact, you'll only need 1 or 2. If you don't get that, it's okay. We will work it out. It will not matter that much. It will not be that visible anyway. So anyway, I will let you carry on with that side, and when you're done, I will tell you what to do next for the corner. Okay, so I have come to the end, almost to the end of this row. And now it is a case of mathematics. We need to really check that we have a certain number of stitches left over. So what we need to do here is, when we get to the corner, we need to make sure that this stitch is left free as well as this one. This stitch here, which is 2 stitches after the stitch markers, here's a stitch marker, 1 and 2. That one will have a slip stitch. So now we need to work another bubble, but as you can see we only have 1 free stitch. So I'm going to undo that very last single crochet, and we are left with the bubble and a chain 3. And we are going to cheat now because we're going to make sure that another bubble or pom-pom will be added, and that will have the correct number of stitches left. So here, down here, it really doesn't matter how many stitches we're going to skip. So we are just going to skip, let us see, we're going to skip 2 stitches and we're going to single crochet into that one. So here's what we have. We worked our bubble, and normally we would skip 3 stitches. We need to go a little bit closer. Normally we would skip 3 stitches, but in this instance we're going to skip 2. So 1, 2, and into this one we're going to do a single crochet. So now we're going to work another pom-pom, So let's do this. So let's chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the third chain from the hook we're going to work a 4 double crochet cluster. So let's do this. I'm going to do this a little bit quicker. Make sure that you have 5 loops on the hook. There we are. Now that you have your 5 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. You're going to chain 3 and do another 4 double crochet cluster right on top of that cluster, right there. And there we are. So you're going to do this again and pull the yarn, close it, and make sure that you close that pom-pom. Once it's closed, chain 3, and over here now you're going to skip 2 stitches and a single crochet into that one. And that's perfectly where we need to be. As you can see, it's still looking very nice, and there isn't a lot of change between these spaces and those spaces, hardly any change at all. So now that we are at the corner, we are going to do a pom-pom. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get some yarn. Into the third chain from the hook, let's work a double crochet cluster. So let's do this. Chain 3, and on top of that cluster work another cluster. Okay, and now you have to close that pom-pom. Just like so. Chain 3. Okay, so now that we are there, we are working the corner. So here is the stitch marker. Before the stitch marker there is 1 stitch left, so we're going to skip that stitch. We're going to skip that stitch with the stitch marker, and we're going to skip the next one. So basically we are going to skip the corner that we created in the previous round. 1 single crochet here, that one with the stitch marker, and the next one. And into the next one we're going to put in a single crochet, just like so. So now you have worked a corner. Let's show it to you as well as we can. So here is the corner, just like so. Let's take off that stitch marker so you can see a little bit better. Okay, and there is the corner. So now what you're going to do for the remainder of this blanket is work all the way around, making sure that the corners are worked just like we did. So it really doesn't matter if you skip 3 or 2 right here. You will not see much difference at all. And it will look really neat all around the edge. I will meet you right here, so that we will be right almost at the end of round 2 and at the end of the blanket tutorial. So I'll let you carry on and I will meet you back here. Okay, so here I am, and I am at my very last corner, as you can see. And then we've got all our bubbles everywhere. So I thought I would do my very last bubble with you and then finish this blanket off. So let's do this. Let's chain our 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the third chain from the hook, we're going to do our, and I lost the word for that now. What is it? It's a cluster. Yes, it's a cluster. Goodness me. Let's do this. Oh, now 1, 2, 3, and every time I get in front of the camera or behind the camera, whichever, all of a sudden I have to mess up. Typical. There we are, and now we need to do another cluster, get some yarn. There we are, and now I'm going to close this pom-pom or little ball or whatever you want to call it. Chain 3. And okay, now that we are at the end of this, all you're going to do is skip these last 3 stitches and slip stitch to the very first single crochet that you did in this round. So let's see if I can show you. See here, this is why I put the stitch marker, so I know exactly where that first single crochet is. So here it is. Skip those and slip stitch to the top of this single crochet. Remove the stitch marker because don't need it anymore since you are now officially done. You're going to chain 1 and fasten off your yarn. All that remains to do now is to sew in your end. So I'm going to do this right now. Let's do this quickly. Yeah. And put it through here. Oh, be careful to not do what I just did and catch your little bauble or pom-pom. There we go. Go to the back. Weave in your end. I'm quite thorough with my ends because I don't want them to escape or anything like that, so I do weave them in quite a bit. And then everything is nice and secure and totally invisible on the other side. Cut your yarn. And you're not done. Yes, it's all finished. Blanket is now complete. Let's see if we can zoom out. So I will try and add a lovely picture at the end of this video. But this is what you have. So here is the blanket. This is how it's looking. And all the lovely little pom-pom. I just really love this edging. It is so much fun. There we are. Really, really lovely. And the yarn is amazing. Let's see if I can show this to you again. How sparkly this is. That is really like snow, right? It's just so gorgeous. Gorgeous. So, well, I hope you have enjoyed this blanket, and thank you for joining me with this, and until the next time, happy knitting and crochet, everyone!